Alright, here's a video review for Toy Notch Astrobots VULKAN. And we've seen Astrobots here on the channel before with their Apollo. Superposable, cool little robot. They've done it in a couple different color schemes. They did like a purple and green. There's been a black version. It was technically a different character. He had a different head. And I have him around somewhere, but I found Apollo real quick. But yeah, so here's VULKAN. You can see a big giant mech suit. And I originally thought that this was a mech suit that came with a smaller robot in it that could be used by any of the Astrobots, but it turns out like he's actually built into this. This is the whole thing. Like the smaller interior robot on this is built into the harness. It's not removable, which is totally fine. It just I was just confused about what it was. And I'm gonna, right off the bat, I'm going to talk about my one. I don't want to say it's not minor, but it's not like a deal breaker either. Complaint about this one is that an Apollo, you put the batteries in. He's got like a little battery pack, and you push his head down. I don't know how well you can see. Oh, you can see his eyes light up blue, and they stay lit up for a few seconds. In VULKAN, there's a You put the batteries in. You can see there's a screw right here, and this panel comes off. And then there's a This right here is a button, which, when pushed, either turns on solid LEDs there on the work armor, or push it again and they'll kind of flash every few seconds. A little slower than I would like as a warning, but you can that's an secondary operation. Then push the button again and they turn off. The LED operation is fine. My minor complaint here is that getting the batteries in, once you take this panel off, you can see how closely together these two square pieces, or these two pieces of armor are around the thing. It takes two little AG2 button cell batteries, and getting them in here, even with tweezers, like the way the power of the spring in there would just keep flipping them out, and it was super frustrating. Like, I did get them in, obviously, the LEDs are working. It just takes a lot of patience that first time. Once they're in, you're golden, but it was just slightly frustrating to get them in, more so than I remember Apollo being. Anyway, that's my minor complaint, because other than that, it's a really fun, fantastic mech figure here. You've got a ball joint at the neck. It's a little stiff right here, but he can move around. He can look around, look up and down. Obviously, these arms articulate, and they even come out. They can extend out, and there's a hinge there, and then the hinge can rotate as well. So you want to be careful. There's a rotational joint here. You hear it's a little squeaky, but then also when this hinge is out, you want to make sure when you're rotating that it can be a little tricky to get this to stay up and then rotate this piece down. But actually, maybe that. No, it should rotate. This one's stuck a little bit, but once that's in, this should. There we go. That was just a little tight. There we go. Now it rotates on that piece. So you got a full rotational and hinge joint up here. That hinge can rotate again all the way around. There on the arm, you got the ratchet, or not ratchet, but you can see the kind of chunky notched disc in there. Bicep swivel, dual hinged elbows. Cool little piston detail on the back there. You got these drills that can spin. They don't spin super freely, and we'll get to more of them in a minute. There we go. But you can get them pretty much wherever you want. The other arms, same level of posability. You got dual hinge joints. They've got the full, if you've played with like Optus Pexis or any of their other figures from MMC, they got those kind of hands, fully posable fingers. A little skinnier than Apollo's. You can see Apollo's got bigger fingers, but overall, like his base mech version is bigger than the base mech in here would be if he popped out. These shoulder joints also come out a little bit for more room. Just a little bit of articulation, and they wiggle on a ball joint as well, it seems. So you've got a lot of articulation there in the head and shoulders. Even though the static backpack is pretty chunky and limits some posability, or could limit posability, it really doesn't. Everything here is super movable. There's an ab crunch here, waist swivel. You can see all of these thigh panels get out of the way. And you've got the dual hinge hips, thigh swivel, knees that aren't quite dual hinge, but you got a decent amount of range for what you'd want here. This little piece moves up and down. You got ankle tilt here above, front and back. This back piece is a separate armor plate, so you can move those around, which is nice. And then he's got inner articulated toes. Both the gray piece is articulated, and then the whole yellow piece also moves on that bigger hinge there. And then the heels actually look like they're fixed in place, but all in all, you got a lot of decent posability. You can make them really stable in a lot of different poses, especially with the arms extended, drilling and grabbing. And I did say drilling and grabbing because one of the other cool things that I said we'd get back to there on the arms, get them back standing straight, is that the drills, you can see they spin, but you can also pull that piece off, and underneath that drill is a 3 clawed hand, which also rotates. It's not on a ball joint, it just rotates. I don't think that comes out any further, no. And then you've got articulated, there's like a dual hinge right here at the knuckle, and then a hinge up here, so he's got big claw hands. They could also be plasma cutters, maybe that's a laser beam or something. But, so yeah, you can have them with drills or grabbers, and that's really cool too. But yeah, another super posable, really cool addition to the Astrobots line. I don't have the Hunter. I want to get that Hunter, that Cowboy Hunter dude. And they released a female mech, Athena, I think, recently, that I haven't picked up. But yeah, super fun, super cool. They do actually have a comic book series for Astrobots out now, written by Simon Furman. He was signing them at BotCon, I think, a convention this weekend. And yeah, there's lore to go with them now. And then just stick those in, and you see there's little slots here. These little tabs go into when you reattach the drill. But yeah, really cool, really fun, really posable. This is a super fun line that a really posable, cool robots, mechs, whatever. I guess he's technically a mech. He's a robot in a mech suit. I haven't read the comic yet, so maybe there's more lore to him. Maybe they're more than just robots. But a really cool line of figures. But there is Astrobots Vulcan from Toy Notch.